There's a truth most of us don't want to face. You're not as important in other people's minds as you think. Sounds cold maybe, even a little harsh, but it's real. Everyone is busy with their own lives. Work, stress, relationships, personal worries. They don't have the time or energy to constantly think about you, judge you, or remember everything you said or did. You might spend hours replaying something you said wrong, an awkward moment, or a small mistake. But for other people, those things usually pass by and disappear. They may have forgotten about it within minutes, while you keep carrying it in your head all day. Even all week, we tend to put ourselves at the center of attention, like everyone is watching us. But the truth is, everyone is the main character of their own story. You're not the center of someone else's world, just like they're not the center of yours. And once you truly accept this, things start to become clearer. Not to make you feel small, but to help you realize that many of your worries were never really there in the first place. One of the main reasons you feel pressured and exhausted is because you think too much about yourself. You remember every awkward moment, every time you said the wrong thing, every small mistake that no one else probably even noticed. You replay it over and over in your head, analyzing every detail, wondering what others think about you, whether they're judging you. But here's the thing. Most of those thoughts only exist in your mind. You imagine people are watching, judging, and remembering everything you do. In reality, they're busy thinking about themselves. What feels like a big deal to you might just be a tiny, forgettable moment in someone else's day. Overthinking creates unnecessary pressure. It turns normal situations into something stressful, making you feel unnatural and less confident. And the more you think, the more you get stuck in that loop. Once you realize this, you start to let go. Not because you stop caring, but because you understand that not every thought is true. There are moments when you find yourself staring at your phone, waiting for a message. You wonder, why don't they text me first? You hope someone will check in, care about you, or simply remember you. But then, nothing happens. And that feeling of being forgotten starts to creep in. It's easy to start thinking you're not important enough, not interesting enough for others to notice. You begin comparing yourself. Why do they care about other people but not me? But most of the time, that's not the reality. It's not because you lack value. It's because everyone is busy living in their own world. When you first realize that no one really thinks about you as much as you thought, the first feeling isn't freedom, it's loneliness. It feels like a sudden empty space opens up, where you no longer see yourself as an important part of other people's thoughts. That can feel confusing, even a little scary. You start to wonder, so what do I actually mean in other people's lives? And when you can't find a clear answer, a sense of disconnection begins to grow. This is the stage where many people feel tempted to go back to their old illusions that someone is paying attention, that they still matter in other people's eyes. But the truth is, this feeling is just the initial reaction. It's not the final conclusion. The loneliness you feel in this moment doesn't mean you've been abandoned. It's simply a sign that you're moving away from an old way of seeing things, one where you defined your worth based on other people's attention. When that layer starts to break, feeling empty is completely normal. And if you're patient enough to move through it, you'll start to realize something important. Behind that loneliness isn't darkness, sits a new kind of space, where you get to define yourself instead of waiting for others to do it for you. When you place too much expectation on attention from others, you become emotionally dependent. Something as small as a message, whether it comes or not, can end up affecting your entire day. What really matters is realizing this. Someone's silence doesn't always mean something negative. Sometimes it simply means they're living their life. And when you stop waiting, you'll feel a whole lot lighter. It may sound paradoxical, but the moment you accept that no one really cares about you as much as you thought, you actually become freer than ever. Because most of the pressure you once felt, the fear of being judged, misunderstood, or not being good enough, comes from the belief that someone is always watching you. But once you realize that's not really the case, a huge weight instantly lifts. You no longer feel the need to be perfect in front of others. You can try new things without worrying about being laughed at. You can fail, make mistakes, and get back up without carrying that lingering sense of embarrassment. Because the truth is, most people won't even remember the times you stumbled. This realization opens up a completely different kind of space, a space where you're allowed to be yourself. No pretending, no forcing, no need to prove anything to anyone. You start acting based on what you truly want instead of what you think others expect from you. And that's when you truly start living. Real power doesn't come from getting others to notice you. It comes from no longer depending on their attention. When you don't need constant validation, you suddenly have so much more energy to focus on your own growth and building your own life. In the end, the very thing that once scared you the most becomes the thing that sets you free. One of the most important steps toward real change is learning to stop seeking validation from others. So many of your actions, from the way you dress, to how you speak, to what you post on social media, are influenced, at least in part, by the desire to be noticed, praised, or at the very least, not judged negatively. You post something and wait to see how many likes it gets. You do something and hope someone will recognize your effort. And when that doesn't happen, you start to doubt yourself. Over time, your sense of self-worth becomes tied to external feedback. But here's the problem. Validation from others is never stable. You might be praised today and forgotten tomorrow. If you rely on that to feel enough, you'll always feel like something is missing. When you truly understand that people aren't thinking about you as much as you imagined, you also realize you don't have to live to please them. You don't need to wait for compliments to know you did well. You don't need attention to feel valuable. Instead, you start building something much more solid. Self-validation. You know you're putting in the effort. You understand where you're going, and you evaluate yourself based on your own standards. And once you reach that point, you're no longer shaken by how others see you. You can still be liked, but you no longer depend on it to feel enough. When you're no longer distracted by what other people think of you, you suddenly have more energy to turn inward. That's where real change begins. Instead of spending your time worrying, comparing yourself, or chasing attention, you start investing in things that actually improve your life in a meaningful way. You learn new skills, build better habits, take care of your health, or simply gain a deeper understanding of your own thoughts and emotions. These things may not bring instant recognition from others, but they create lasting value for you. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's responsibility. Because in the end, you're the one who has to live your life, not anyone else. As you grow, you become more confident, not because someone tells you you're good, but because you know how far you've come. You also begin to set your own standards for your life, instead of chasing someone else's. What truly matters to you? Who do you want to become? These questions become clearer when you genuinely spend time with yourself, and if you stay on this path long enough, you'll realize something important. You don't need to impress the world. You just need to build a life that feels meaningful to you. As long as you depend on other people's attention, you unintentionally put yourself in the position of a victim. Your mood goes up and down based on how others treat you or not. You're not really in control of your life. You're reacting to it. But when you truly understand and accept that people don't think about you as much as you once believed, something shifts. You start taking your power back. You no longer wait for others to make you feel complete. Instead, you create that feeling for yourself. You become more intentional in how you live. You do what needs to be done, not to impress anyone, but because you know it matters to you. You stop holding yourself back out of fear of judgment, and you stop avoiding things just because you're afraid of failing. More importantly, you realize that your life is your responsibility. No one is coming to save you, and no one can. Live your life for you. That's not something to fear, it's your strength. And when you truly take control, you're no longer pulled around by what others think. You become the one who decides your direction, step by step, with clarity and intention.